Hi everyone, hope you're okay. This is the first of hopefully a couple of videos to help you with the exam on Wednesday. This is obviously a shorter exam that you've got coming up, so it's got a few tricky questions, I'm not going to lie. A couple of the maths ones there's one particularly bad maths one, but most of the questions I think you can have a good go at. So today I'm going to talk about ergonomics and anthropometrics just as a bit of a recap about what they mean. Because lots of students quite often get ergonomics, they think it's just a certain, that it's only to do with hands or the measurements of hands, or the comfort of using things with your hands. I don't know why, but quite a lot of students think that, but you need to remember that it's for any product you're using, it's to make sure that that product can be used comfortably without causing you any stress or any injury. Okay, so let's talk through that really quickly. So these are some examples of bad ergonomics. So products that have been designed badly. If you look at any blogs like BuzzFeed or Board Panda, you'll see quite a few of these kind of things where it's like worst design products ever. I'm sure lots of you love Apple, but they designed some pretty terrible mice over the years. So the top left, that is a mouse. You can see it's completely circular, doesn't fit the user's hand, awkward to use, could probably end up giving you some kind of RSI, repetitive strain injury, some kind of pain in your hand. I've had an Apple mouse before, and I've got to say it's the worst mouse I've ever used in my life. So it's quite a good example. The top middle one is a classic. It says push, but because of the way the handles are shaped, it's indicating to you that you should pull. And we've all done it. You'll end up going to it, pulling it, and looking embarrassed. It's push. But because of the way that the handle is shaped, that's making you feel like you have to pull it. So again, that is badly designed. Top right. How the heck are you going to get to the right number on that elevator, lift, or whatever? I sound very American there. So again, quite often ergonomics can be the way that information is communicated to the user. Is it clear? Is it intuitive? Intuitive means can you just get it straight away without really having to think about it, so it's quite obvious how something works. This you would need to look at very carefully to make sure you were picking the correct floor. Bottom left, that pot, I'm sure you'll be thinking, why are the handles on the same side, so that when it's full of water or whatever, it's going to be extremely difficult to pick it up from that side, very heavy, could cause injury. And bottom right, we've all done it, got soap on our hands, gone to turn the tap on, and the tap is glass or a slippy material on the outside, and you can't get a grip on the tap. So ergonomics can be to do with lots of different things. It can be the shape of the product, it could be how information is shown to the user, it could be how where different handles or how things are positioned, and also it can be to do with materials as well. So I'm going to talk about ergonomics first, so ignore the stuff on the right hand side for the moment. So ergonomics is basically the scientific study of people and their working conditions. So quite often when people talk about ergonomics, it's to do with office workers and people working at desks for long periods of time. So it could be the height of your monitor, the shape of your mouse, the keyboard, maybe it needs a wrist rest. Is your chair, is it adjustable? So quite often, because lots of people were getting what we would call RSI, repetitive strain injury, it became very apparent that products needed to be designed so that they avoided discomfort and stress on the user. So ergonomics isn't only about the shape, it's all of the senses. So it could be the way it looks, it could be the way it feels, the way how much sound is coming out of it. Is it too loud? Is it too quiet? It can be all different types of things. So some ergonomic considerations include the anthropometric data range of potential users. So anthropometrics, which I'm going to talk about in a second, is the average sizes of people, average measurements. Well, it can be average measurements, it's mostly just measurements, but it's the key information that designers use to design products that are going to fit the user the best. The ability of the possible user. So for example, if you are designing something for a child, is it going to be very clear how it's used? Is it going to be more simplified? So you need to consider, for example, if you were designing for an elderly person, you might make something a little chunkier and easier to hold rather than quite slim. The movements and forces required to use the product. So you don't want to design something for an elderly person or for a child to use that they actually can't physically turn or open. So you need to make sure that any force required on your product is going to be within the ability of the user. Again, the shape is a major part of ergonomics, so making sure that those shapes of those parts, like handles and buttons, that they are designed in a an ergonomic way so that they are comfortable and easy to hold. Choice of materials is a big one. Grippy or slippy, but it could be that potentially you need to grip onto a certain part of the product, so it might have something like TPE, that thermoplastic elastomer, that kind of more squashy material, or it might have a texture on it. So the choice of materials can be very important. The use of colour is interesting. So if we look at the scissors on the bottom there, the bottom right, you can see it's got orange in the places where the user is going to interact with the product. So using colour is quite an important ergonomic tool because it highlights to the user which parts they need to interact with. And the use of symbols, are these easy to understand? So it could be the use of very obvious plus and minus symbols on a remote control, rather than any kind of written instruction that potentially could be difficult for a younger user to read potentially. That's not a very good example, but you get the idea. So ergonomics, all about how users interact with a product to make sure that it avoids discomfort and any stress or difficulty in using the product. So there's some questions in the exam paper that focus on ergonomics, so make sure that you're clear on that. I'm going to show you some examples in a moment as well, just to reiterate that in a second. And anthropometrics. So these are the measurements of the human body, and it can include things like your upper arm length, the circumference of your head, your height, your chest depth, your shoulder height, and these measurements are collected from a really wide range of people with different body sizes, and that is going to give you something called different percentiles. So to make sure that they're making things the right size, they need to know the measurements of the intended user. So for example, if you're designing a child's toy, you might look at the measurements of children aged between 3 and 5, for example. So designers use this data to make sure that their products are comfortable, but it's really important that you know that you can't design a product that everyone will be able to use. So designers try to design for the largest amount of people that they can, the majority of people. So they quite often say the 95th percentile. These percentiles basically mean, for example, if we had gathered a load of information about different people's heights, we would have the 5th percentile would be people on, they would be the 5%, the shortest 5% of those people. The 50th percentile would be the average height that we observed, and the 95th percentile would be the top 5% of people. So they are the tallest people. Okay, so for example, if we were talking about the design of a door frame for someone to walk through, obviously you would use the 95th percentile, because you would want it doesn't matter if you it wouldn't matter about it being too small. It's going to be the highest it can be, so everyone below that height is going to easily be able to fit. That's an example. If you made it so that it was the 50th percentile, the average, it means that a lot of people are going to have to duck to go under that height. So you know, whenever something is designed, you need to think about, should it be designed for the sort of average? Should it be designed for the taller or the longest measurements, or should it be designed for people on the smaller side? So another good example would be monkey bars in a playground. You would probably design the distance between the bars so that the 5th percentile could grab them. It doesn't matter that the 95th percentile, they'll still be able to reach. It's not going to cause them a problem, but the shortest people, or the people with the shortest arms, would still be able to use that product. I hope that makes sense. I've kind of blabbered on a little bit there. But anthropometrics, again, it's important for designers to know these measurements so that they can design products that are going to be suitable for their intended users. So this Dyson vacuum is a really good example of how colour can be used in consideration of ergonomics. So on this product in particular, red has been used to show the user all the different parts that they interact with. So everything that's red is either a button or something that the user pulls or wraps the cord around. And because there is quite a lot of colour on this product, that red just helps to draw the eye for you to realise, oh, that's where that feature is on the design. Another good example, this is actually quite a good one, because these kind of measuring jugs, quite often, if you're an elderly user, it can be really difficult for you to read that dial on the side. And also if you think you have to have it on a flat surface, pour whatever liquid into it, and then you've got to bend to try and see that liquid flat. Now this design actually just makes it really clear. You don't have to bend down or anything, because the scale is actually inside the measuring jug. All you need to do is just see where the liquid comes up to on that scale inside the jug. So there's no bending, there's no awkward peering really closely to the scale. So this is really well designed for you know, elderly users, but then actually helpful for all of us, really. It makes the product easier to use. Now, oh, excuse me, I also like how they've used a different material on the actual handle of the product, making that more grippy. So again, OXO, they do quite a few different designs, but they're quite good examples of ergonomic design. And this is what I was talking about with the kind of office environment for ergonomics. Now, because I'm going on about offices, you're going to think suddenly the question's about offices. It's not, okay? But the amount of adjustable options on this chair is what makes it ergonomic. So you've got a neck rest, you've got adjustable arm rest, you've got adjustable height. It looks like the wheels in some way might be, I don't know, maybe not. But you've got lots of different adjustable features on that product, which help to make it adjustable, help to make it more ergonomic, but also suit a wider range of users as well. So bear in mind that if you're asked any questions about ergonomics in the exam, it's not just the shape of the product. Don't forget that it's how that designer has used anthropometric data. So is it the right size? Maybe it needs to be adjustable so it suits a wide range of people. Is it designed to be used you know, easily by the person it's designed for? So whoever it's designed for, is it easy to pick up? Is it easy to fold? Is it easy to maneuver? Blah, 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 okay? The movements and forces required to use the product, are those realistic for whoever it is designed for? Are the handles formed so they're comfortable to grip? Is the shape of the product designed in a comfortable way? Have materials been considered? Have they got some kind of grip, or are they slippy, which could potentially cause an accident? Has the designer used any kind of colours to indicate the important parts of the product? And are any symbols easy to understand? Because maybe they haven't used a lot of writing, maybe it's just simple little pictures to highlight you know, how the product's going to be used. So again, ergonomics and anthropometrics, two really key things. It should be easy marks really for you in the exam. So have a look back through your booklet and just think about, look around your room and think about the different types of products that you've got in your room and what different types of ergonomics maybe have been considered in their design. Okay, see you later, guys.